guys, welcome back to my kitchen and welcome to the Recipe Therapist. So, with the weather changing and fall now upon us, I'm really feeling like I want to make something with pumpkin spice in it, So I came up with a recipe that looks and sounds so delicious. It's a pumpkin spice streusel muffin. We are going to be making that together today. We are going to make a nice crumbly streusel topping, and at the end I'm going to show you how we're going to make a cinnamon vanilla glaze to go on the top. I think this is going to be so delicious. You're going to love it. So let's get started. Let's take a look and see what goes into these delicious pumpkin streusel muffins. We're going to be using a cupcake pan today, a regular cupcake pan that I've lined with some, foil liners here. I chose gold because I thought it was, the perfect color for a pumpkin spice muffin. And now I'm going to show you what goes into the streusel part of this recipe. We have here 1 cup of all-purpose flour. There's a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/3 cup of regular sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now, here is the star of the show. We have pumpkin pie spice. We're going to be using 1 teaspoon of that in the streusel part of the recipe. And then we're going to finish off with 6 tablespoons of melted salted butter, and it has to be cooled. It's very important that it's cooled and it's salted for this recipe. Now for the muffin part of the recipe, what we're going to be using is 2 large beaten eggs, 1/2 cup of regular sugar, and 1/4 cup of light brown sugar. We have 2 tablespoons of milk, 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We have 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder and 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of the pumpkin pie spice. We also are going to be using 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon as well. Now, as an option, I really like to add just a pinch of some ground nutmeg and some ground cloves. I just feel like it gives that extra, fall spice to any pumpkin recipe. But again, it is an option. Now, here is the pumpkin. We are going to be using plain pumpkin puree. We're going to be using about 1 cup of this, okay? Now, be careful when you go to your local grocer because there is something called pumpkin pie mix in a can. And what that is that has all the sugar and the spices in it. We don't want that. We want plain pumpkin puree for this recipe. So make sure you remember that when you're picking out your pumpkin. And last but not least, we're going to be using 1 stick of melted, cooled, salted butter. Let me show you how we're going to start out with the muffin part of this recipe. So what we have to do is, I have a nice clear bowl here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically take all my wet ingredients. It's real simple. I'm taking my 1 cup of my pumpkin puree and I'm adding it to the bowl. And then we're going to add our beaten egg. We just have to basically add all of our wet ingredients to the bowl. Okay, we got the milk going in and we've got our delicious vanilla extract, all right? And look at this butter. See this consistency? It's cooled but yet it's still melted. So I'm just gonna mix it up and I'm going to add this right in. And I have my little rubber spatula here, I love it. And I have this nice and handy here because I don't wanna leave any of this butter behind, because this is going to add a lot of flavor to the recipe. And then I'm going to just take my little mini whisk here and just mix this all together until it's nice, well, and combined. And then we're going to come back and we're going to add the dry ingredients to this recipe. All right, guys, so this is what it should look like. It's nice and well combined. So now we're going to start out with the dry ingredients. So I have the flour going in, the sugar, the white sugar. We have our brown sugar here, our light brown sugar, by the way. Okay. Our baking soda and baking powder. Some salt. And here's our fall spices going in. We have our pumpkin spice and our cinnamon. Now, like I said before, I am going to add a pinch of some ground clove and ground nutmeg. All right, and we're going to mix this all together until it's nice, well, and combined. So now what we have to do is just take these dry ingredients and add it to the wet. All right, now here's an important tip. We just want to fold the dry ingredients into the wet. We do not want to overmix this batter because it will make a very tough muffin. So I'm gonna go ahead and do exactly that. I'm just going to fold this in, and then we're gonna get ready to put it into our cupcake tins. All right, guys, so this is what it should look like. Look at that batter, isn't that just great? It's nice and, velvety looking. It's perfect consistency. This is exactly what we want. So now I have an ice cream scooper, and we're just going to take the ice cream scooper and we're gonna fill our tins, just like that. That's perfect. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill these, and then we are going to get ready to top them off with that delicious Streusel topping. Done with our muffins, and now we're ready to make the streusel part of the recipe. So it's really, really easy. We're gonna put the flour in first and both sugars, our brown sugar going in and our regular granulated sugar. I'm just gonna get that out. We have our salt and of course our pumpkin spice going right in. And last but not least, we are going to add our butter. But before I add the butter, I do want to just give this a quick mix so that I can get that cinnamon, and the sugar evenly, distributed. Get a little head start, okay? We are going to mix this with a spoon, all right? Again, we don't want to overmix. When we add the butter, we are not going to want to overmix our crumble part of the recipe either, all right? So that's looking pretty good, and it smells really good. And now we're ready to add our cooled melted butter. All right, so I have, again, my little rubber spatula here, comes in really handy, and I'm gonna get all that, butter out because it adds tremendous flavor, and it is the binder for our streusel topping. So now I'm going to just fold this in again, and it's gonna turn into crumble, and we're gonna get ready to top this off on our delicious pumpkin muffins. This is what the crumble should look like. This is perfect, okay? I mixed it with a spoon. It's not overmixed. It's absolutely perfect. So while I was mixing the crumble, the thought came into my head, pecans, So I said, I'm gonna chop up some pecans. So I chopped up some pecans. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the streusel, start putting the streusel on top of the muffins, and then I'm going to top it off with some pecans. Now that's just my preference because I really like pecans, but I mean that's totally optional. I mean, do what you want, but so I was going to do something like this. See, some chopped pecans. I mean, how bad could this be on top of these muffins? Look at that. That looks so great, right? So I'm going to go ahead and finish these. I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees. And these are gonna cook at for about 19 to 22 minutes until like a toothpick comes out clean. And then we are going to make the glaze for the top of these. And I just know these are gonna be so delicious. All right, guys, so it's been about 22 minutes, and let's take a look and see how these muffins are doing. Oh my goodness, look at those. Wow, those look really, really good. So I think they're just about done. I'm just gonna take a toothpick and test and see if it comes out dry. That's perfect. I am absolutely loving the way these muffins came out. Look at them. They look absolutely delicious. They smell so delicious. I wish you guys could join me in my kitchen right now. Anyway, I'm going to show you how we're going to make that delicious glaze for the top. It's got some apple cider in it, some heavy cream. What we have here is 3/4 cup of powdered sugar. Now to that, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of some heavy cream. We might have to add a little more later, we'll see. We have 1 teaspoon of apple cider. That's what's gonna give us that nice apple flavor. And we have a half a teaspoon of some vanilla extract. I am going to use pumpkin spice in this. You can use whatever you want, nutmeg, cinnamon. I'm gonna use a pinch of some pumpkin spice because that's, you know, what I like. That's about right. And I'm gonna mix this until it comes out into that consistency of a glaze. So now I may have to add, like I said before, some more heavy cream if this is too thick, which it's looking like it is a little thick. So I'm gonna add a pinch more of some heavy cream. And you know, this is the kind of thing that you can work in yourself. You know, you kind of determine the thickness or consistency that you like, but you just don't want it too runny, you know. So this is looking good, and we are going to come back and I'm going to pour this right over those muffins, and it's going to be so delicious. All right, friends, so here they are. They're all done. I put the glaze on top. Look at them. Don't they look so good? I cannot wait to taste one. I think I'm going to taste this one. And what I want to do is cut it open and show you what the inside looks like. You'd see that's a nice pumpkin muffin right there, right? It looks great. And the glaze on top. It's still warm, which I absolutely love. So I'm going to just cut into this. And look at that. Wow, that looks so moist. It like bounces back. I mean, this is a muffin, so I guess like I could just like pick it up and eat it like this, take a bite. So here we go. Oh my gosh. Wow, another excellent recipe. This tastes perfect. The flavors are perfectly blended. It's the perfect amount of pumpkin spice with that crunch on top and that glaze. I mean, I know I say this all the time, but this is another excellent recipe, really, guys. I hope you guys want to try. This is so delicious. And I like the addition of the pecans that I added to the top. If you like pecans, that's fine, or add some walnuts, that extra crunch. It's so good. I really hope you guys like this episode, and I hope you try this recipe. And if you do like it, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. Let me know if you tried it and how you like it. I always love to read your comments. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time to serve up some more love. Take care.